We're on. Good afternoon. Welcome to our Facebook town hall. Going to try to do a little summary of some of the things that happened in the session that just closed on April the 10th. We had, I think, about 2,884 bills introduced in the legislature this year, and about a little over 900 passed, 935 to be exact. I personally had 36 bills in and co-sponsored another 140 bills. Just a few highlights with some of my bills. Financial aid protection bill passed. A lot of students would get financial aid from university and then go out and get private scholarships, and the university would then take back some of the money that was given to them. This protects them that they can get up to what their financial need is when they do the FAFSA, so that you can't take any money away up to their financial need. In addition to that, I guess the last 4 sessions I've put in a child sexual abuse extension of the statute of limitations. That bill was combined with Senator Kelly's bill, and it did pass this year, so that it does give a young person who's been sexually abused a little longer to file suit if they can actually prove that the sexual abuse took place. Many children that are sexually abused don't even recognize it themselves. They just internalize it, and sometimes they're in their 30s themselves before they can face it. So this gives them a little more time. I had a bill in to protect the cow-nosed ray in the Chesapeake Bay. They had sporting tournaments where they just beat them with a baseball bat, shoot them with an arrow, beat them with a baseball bat, and then suffocate them. And these are outlawed for at least a couple of years while study is done, and hopefully will then be outlawed permanently. Our biggest success of all, I think, is we got the $16 million over 3 years for the conference center at the downtown hotel. This project will be a major impetus, economic impetus for downtown, in addition to creating a lot of jobs and tax base. There are a number of projects along Carroll Creek that have been on hold. I think as this hotel's developed, you'll see those projects moving forward. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a second private hotel built downtown in the next 5 years. In conjunction with that, as the hotel conference center gets here, we're going to really push for more MARC trains coming to downtown, and particularly at least 1 or 2 on each Saturday and Sunday to transport here and back to Washington people coming for conferences that are held. The major employers in the county were really high on getting this conference center to bring conferences downtown, particularly the biotech companies who very much want to see those located here. In addition to that, we did get aviation gas tax removed so that pilots at the airport get a better price on their gas. And they were previously having to pay road tax for gas fuel that's not used there. There were several bills I had in this year that I will have back, and one is the Affordable Community College bill, where up through a certain income, we're trying to provide free community college and free support for programs like plumbing, bricklayers, HVAC. If some of you follow the paper, you'll see that a lot of them companies are having trouble finding people now for those jobs. So there are a lot of good paying jobs out there that we don't have qualified people for. So in addition to jobs that are coming, there are really good existing jobs that we'd like people to be able to get trained for, and they more than return the value of the break you give them on college in terms of their income and the taxes they'll pay in the future. I'm going to try to combine that with a combined reporting bill on retail next year. The bill would have passed this year except for a funding source. So I'm looking to put a funding source with it next year so that hopefully we can move it forward. Had a bill in for independent filmmakers. It's a growing thing in Maryland. There are a lot of independent filmmakers and support people here in the Frederick community, in Baltimore, Montgomery County, and we're just trying to direct a small tax break to see that they employ the people and make the films here. On to some national things, or statewide things, excuse me. We provided sick leave this year for employees that have not received it in the past. They earn 1 hour of sick leave for every 30 hours they work, and they can earn up to 5 days a year. Just take the food industry. You know, a lot of these people are really working on the fringe in terms of their income and can't afford to miss a day. I don't think you want someone sneezing and hacking over your food in the kitchen while it's being prepared. This gives them a chance to take a couple of days off and be prepared to come back in a much healthier mood. We did ban fracking. It's been a controversial thing for years, and that has been banned now. We passed probably the most comprehensive opioid bill in the country this year. It was a combination of bills: education, support, trying to get people off of opioids, and that's I think a big step. A couple of major newspapers said we're the first in the country to go as far on that as we have. We did some redistricting reform. I know people are interested in that. We're certainly interested in it. But we formed a 6-state compact, and when those 6 states agree to do it, we'll all do it together. And that keeps a balance of Democrats and Republicans doing it at the same time, so that it's not someone out there on their own. We passed a bill for increased services for sexual assault victims, which is very important. We passed a rape kit preservation bill. It specifies how a kit's collected and how it's provided to and preserved by law enforcement. We passed a combating human trafficking bill. There's usually a human trafficking bill every year or two. It's still a very serious problem in Maryland. This is one that simply phone numbers would be placed in the bathrooms of what are called gentlemen's clubs, strip clubs, whatever, so that if someone there is a victim of human trafficking, they know where to call for help. We also passed the bill protecting victims of violence from gun crimes. It no longer allows individuals accused of domestic violence to possess a firearm. We passed some energy bills this year. We overrode the governor's veto on increasing fuels. We also passed one of my bills, a mercury prohibition bill. We passed another bill to help protect the Bay where it's underfunded. President Trump has almost eliminated funds for protecting water. It's one of the most important things in the world. We can't survive without clean water. So we want to continue protecting our bay and our streams in that sense. We also did one preserving the oyster sanctuaries. We're still trying to increase the amount of oysters in the bay. They filter and clean the bay as well as being good eating for people that like oysters. The time Captain John Smith came here, there were enough oysters in the bay that they cleaned the water in the bay every day. Now they clean it about 1.5 times a year, and it would be great, like we did with the rockfish a number of years ago, if we could increase the number of oysters in the bay again. We had a few local bills that didn't pass. We have to have basically almost full delegation support to do that. The county exec brought an ethics bill that was put together by a number of groups. The Republicans in their delegation didn't support it, so it didn't pass. We did pass a bill allowing clubs to start selling tip jars an hour earlier on Sundays, and we passed a bill allowing non-game mammals to be hunted in Maryland. We had a bill in to allow the student member of the Board of Education to vote. The Board of Education passed that 5-1. Unfortunately, our delegation went against it 5-3. Also had a blight bill in that Frederick County, Frederick City, and 8 of the municipalities wanted to help with blight. But again, the 5 members of the Republican delegation didn't support it, so it didn't pass. Every year there's a number of alcohol bills, local alcohol bills that are put in. We had fewer this year, but we passed one that last year that would allow beauty salons to provide alcohol to their customers, and we extended that to barbershops this year. We've had a 50-50 ratio on restaurants to alcohol to food, and they found that very difficult to meet. So we changed that ratio this year from 40-60 and exempted alcohol sold after 10 o'clock at night when people aren't eating. Also, restaurants asked to be allowed to sell alcohol an hour earlier on Sunday for brunch, and that was passed. The one alcohol bill we didn't pass was for cigar shops. Clean Air people came in and had a good point. They said, we took smoking out of the bars. Why should we put bars into smoking? So that bill did not move forward. Few bond bills in addition to the $16 million we received. The downtown YMCA got $87,500 matching money towards their flood damage that they had about a year ago. We got $25,000 for the Historical Society for improvements they want to make. The Catoctin Zoo got $50,000 to support their wolf exhibition up there. So that was the bond bill we got. The president's been talking about taking all the funds away from Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood has been made unnecessarily controversial. Only about 2 or 3% of their funding goes towards abortion, and that is not government money, it's done privately. But they're talking about cutting Planned Parenthood. It provides a lot of health services to women, and we want to continue that. So the state has agreed to backfill that should the federal government cut it. Another bill that was passed this year was Delegate Lewis Young's bill, was right to try. If a drug has passed phase 1 but still in clinical trials, and someone basically has a fatal disease, they can elect to try that drug even though it hasn't gotten final approval. Simple fact is, they're at the point they're going to die, and if this drug could help them or save them, certainly want to give them the opportunity to use it. A brewery industry modernization bill was passed I was the only one on the Senate that voted against it. Very few states anywhere have a cap on how many barrels they can serve in their tasting room. We have a lot of limitations on errors based on distributors and retail stores concerned with it. And so we passed a bill this year that I guess was an improvement, but it was basically designed around helping Guinness come into Baltimore County. I did not feel that the local breweries, and particularly Flying Dog, which is a major business in Frederick looking to expand, were treated fairly. So I voted against that in protest, though I'm glad there are some improvements that were made available to the breweries. We increased the allowable income for military retirees to be tax exempt. We also put money in the budget to protect public television, which it seems the Trump administration is also talking about cutting. Public television has provided a lot of great things. I wonder how many children didn't learn to count and their alphabet and so forth by watching Sesame Street and great programs like Downton Abbey. And we want to keep that going, at least in Maryland, hopefully everywhere. We passed a bill protecting internet privacy so that people can't sell your information that they gather on the internet. Maybe a lot of people are aware, but some of you would be shocked at how much information they gather on people and sell to advertisers and to whomever that really should remain private, or at least the individual should have the right to whether it should be available or not. So said 935 bills passed. A lot of things. We increased the availability of voting machines to try to ease back up on election day. We passed some open and transparent government bills. The list goes on and on. We passed a bill to limit the amount of testing in schools. Parents have been upset that we're doing so much testing and teachers that we don't have time to teach. So we came up with a bill that's a great equalizer of education and more learning and less testing. We are also trying to protect schools from privatization. Public schools are one of the things that made America great. The diversity in the schools, the opportunity that people without income wouldn't have. I know myself and hundreds of other people I know wouldn't be where they are or doing what they're doing today if public schools hadn't been available. So we always have room for improvement in public schools, but we have great teachers and great public schools. We want to keep them and bring up those that aren't doing quite so well. We have passed a bill on student loan transparency. The student loans have become a major problem in this country. I think the average student loan is $25,000 or $30,000. I've run into some people that had a husband and wife lawyer that had like $600,000 in student loans. We want to make the information available as to what you're borrowing and what your ability to pay it back is, and to try to reduce the cost and reduce the amount that people have to borrow. We did a school disciplinary process. That's not been consistent around the state, and we want to try to see that that happens. That's a very brief, quick summary. The governor is still has two signing dates coming up in early May. there is still the opportunity for him to veto some of those bills. We'll have to see what happens. Certain bills that we passed, like the Hotel Conference Center, he had 6 days to veto that, and he did not do it. He didn't sign it. He didn't veto it. So the money is in the budget. I have to thank the Senate President and his staff for working with me to get that money in the budget, and for the House to keep it there. It's a major economic project for Frederick. We need it. And the only possible holdup now would be approval at the Board of Public Works. And I think we have at least 2 votes, if not all 3, when it comes to that. So we're looking forward to that happening in downtown Frederick. So, as always, contact my office if you need further information. We do an email blast, and on Facebook and on our webpage, we have a lot of information plus links where you can read more about the bills. You can go straight into the Maryland State Government and look at bills there if you have further interest in that way. We have already started preparing for next year. I'm going to try to put a smaller and strong package in to help students, to help people for employment, to help seniors, to help homeless veterans. So I want to get a good section in like that. Almost every year, we have local people who come in with problems that we can try to help. Sometimes we're successful, sometimes we're not. But a lot of bills that are put in come from citizens who see a need, know of something that exists somewhere else that's not here. So we love your feedback, and we'll look for that all during the course of the year. Would like to mention one other thing. We do have limited scholarships available from my office. The time's coming up. If you're interested in one of those, you need to look at our webpage, get the information, contact us. The students need to fill out the FAFSA to see what their eligibility is, and we help all those that we can. Probably in the last 6 years, we have given out 180 to 200 scholarships, and hopefully we'll give out approximately 30 more this year. So if you or one of your children want to apply for one of these, go to senatorronyoung.org, and the application has to be in by June 1. And then we evaluate them with great emphasis on need, and would award them as early as we can, hopefully by the 1st of August, and move forward with that. So unless someone wants to email some questions in, I think I've pretty well covered everything today, and we appreciate you watching. And I think this, along with others we've done, are available to look at on our webpage and Facebook, so please do so.